Hello, Lizzie, just with a quick intro to this video. I just wanted to say that I often have an involuntary laugh response whenever I'm talking about difficult things. And I know that some other autistic people have this going on too. It's thought to be linked to difficulties with emotional regulation. So I just wanted to say that before we start. Hello there and welcome to today's video. This isn't the video I was planning for this week, and the reasons of which will become apparent, but it's kind of like a follow-on from last week's video, but not in the way that I'd intended really. And if you haven't seen last week's video, it shouldn't matter too much because I'll kind of explain as I go along, but I will leave the video linked down below as well that you can check out afterwards. So essentially, last week's video was all about how I suspected my parents could well have been autistic, and how difficult it was for me growing up as a then undiagnosed autistic girl. And yeah, my childhood was just very difficult. So I've been kind of reeling this week because it's just so weird, isn't it, when we talk about kind of traumatic stuff in our lives, it invariably brings about some complicated feelings afterwards, doesn't it? And yeah, I thought I was at a place where I was yeah, pretty good in talking about my parents, and I do think I'm in a good position now to talk about my parents because I've reached a place where it's not that I've forgiven them, or mainly my dad really, but I've reached a place where I kind of at least understand them, and particularly since receiving my autism diagnosis, I've been able to really think about my parents as autistic people and the difficulties that they had in being autistic in a world that wasn't designed for them, and specifically the difficulties they had around family life and parenting, because I do believe it was really hard for them. And I do need to say here, as I did in last week's video, that not every autistic person will struggle with being a parent. As we know, there are many amazingly brilliant autistic parents out there. However, I wasn't prepared for the feelings in making last week's video that would come up in respect of my dad's girlfriend. And I think it's because I have done a lot of work in thinking about my parents through the years, as many people do if they too have had a difficult or challenging childhood. But I honestly have barely thought about this woman since I left home, and yeah, it's left me in a state of anger this week because I don't know, I feel like I gave a really sanitised overview of the events that led to me leaving home. And in fact, I gave a really sanitised view of my whole childhood, really. I kind of neglected to say that my house was a house where TV went on, and my dad was a very controlling man, and my mum had real difficulties with this. He did seem to be a lot kinder to his girlfriend, actually, than he ever was to my mum. So I've got a lot of complicated feelings around that. But yeah, I've been left with this kind of scenario playing over and over in my head, and it's, yeah, really, really made me angry. And I spoke to Ian about it as well, and I've never told him the story of me leaving home because I've never really had to think about it very much in my life. And he too has been really angry about yeah, this behaviour, and I don't know whether to talk about it in this video. Perhaps I'll talk about it and I can always cut it out. And also I will put in some chapters so you can jump ahead if you're not interested in this story, because it's not a nice story, if I'm honest. So if you are going to jump ahead, I shall see you there. So I'll keep it as succinct as possible, but basically, I was 17 at this time, and I had a curfew, I think of around 10 or 10:30 at night. I can't remember, but I got home maybe 5 or 10 minutes late. My friend had dropped me off in the car, and my dad's girlfriend, who I'm not going to give her a name, I'm going to call her DG for dad's girlfriend because I don't want to associate any name with her, if I'm honest. But she had purposefully locked me out because I was late. So I was knocking on the door for ages until she finally let me in. And DG was really drunk, as was often the case. And my dad wasn't at home, he worked nights at this point. So I can't really remember in great detail what happened, but maybe I said, "Why are you locking the door on me?" or I don't know, something like that. And I was making my way to my bedroom, and I can't remember how, but she got ahead of me. So she was at the top of the stairs, and she was basically trying to kick me down the stairs, and she was screaming at me, and it was just such a surreal moment that I just thought, you know what, I'm leaving right now. So I went to my friend's house. She lived maybe around 15-minute walk away, and needless to say, her family took me in. She lived with her mum, and I don't remember how, but my dad was able to track me down the following morning. I'm not sure of the events that led up to that because he'd never met my friend or her mum, so I can't quite remember how that happens. But anyway, he turned up, and my friend's mum was brilliant. She told him exactly what she thought of him and my dad's girlfriend, or DG. And my dad was really apologetic, and he promised me that he'd kicked her out and he wanted me to come home. So I went home. However, a week later, DG was back home. So, that was enough of a message for me to know that my views or my safety wasn't important, really. So my friend and I came up with the great escape plan. So she picked me up in the middle of the night, and I just grabbed a bin liner full of clothes and left a note on the front room table for my dad in the morning, and I was gone, and I never went home, and it was absolutely the right thing to do. I do have regrets in that I had to give up my college course as a result of that, but I had to prioritise my safety, really. So needless to say, this story has been bringing up some really quite complicated feelings for me this week, and for Ian as well, which has been really interesting. So this is where I'm going to put in a new chapter. So the TLDR version is that, my dad's girlfriend was awful to me, and I left home pretty abruptly, and it was the best thing that I could have done, really. But it's just left me with a lots of difficult feelings this week, and I wasn't sure actually whether to do a video this week, and I was saying to Ian, I don't think I can, certainly not the video that I wanted to make, because I really wanted to talk about how cPTSD can be just so difficult to manage, and for me it was going to be kind of like a natural follow-on from last week's video, but I'm just not in a position to do it. I think I need time to breathe and perhaps ruminate a bit more. And also, I think YouTube is a bit of a quieter place during the summer months because, people's priorities change and they want to get out and about a bit more. So I think what I'll do is I'll leave this particular theme maybe until the autumn, and I've had a bit more time to reflect on everything. And for me, this has just been, just so interesting to have all these massive feelings going on. And I think in order to be kind of, kind to myself, Next week's video is probably going to be like a phone call video again, so it's just going to be kind of a catch up about, you know, where I'm at and what I've been doing, and maybe some thoughts about my channel, you know, that kind of stuff really. So yeah, I think I need to give myself just some grace and some time to reflect on things a bit. But I think also what's really important to remember is that, you know, if you have, like me, has a really difficult start in life, as I know very many of you have, that I really believe in the idea that the best revenge is living well, you know, the kinder that we are to ourselves, and the more that we listen to ourselves and our needs, and, you know, all of that stuff, you know, the easier it is on our mental health on a longer term basis, really. I don't know even if DG is still alive, you know, I've no idea, because my dad died years ago, but I would hate to give her the satisfaction of knowing that all this stuff is still, you know, getting to me. All right, I'm allowing it to get to me this week and maybe for another week or two, but I want to kind of process this and get to a place of perhaps not forgiveness, but maybe understanding of her motivations, whatever they may have been. I think maybe she just preferred the house with just her, you know, herself and my dad, and I was just, I don't know, a pain in the arse really, and she just yeah, was keen for me to move out, and I don't know, but I don't want to give her the satisfaction of yeah, still bothering me, really. I want to process this and move on and get back to the position where I barely think about this woman, you know, because usually speaking, I do barely think about this woman, because from, you know, my perspective, she was not at all important to me. So anyway, I hope this video makes some kind of sense. I'm really sorry it's not a well thought out or well produced video. It's just really kind of a ramble about how I'm feeling, really. It's probably like a telephone call video in itself, but yeah, I just wanted to get this off my chest and just, yeah, be kind to myself, because the best revenge is living well. It is so important for us to live well, and particularly as autistic people, because life is hard enough as it is. So thank you for giving me the space to ramble on, and again, if you can resonate with what I've shared in today's video or in last week's video, I'm sending much solidarity to you. So thank you for watching, and give it a like if you got this far, and I'll see you again soon.